Hello, FPL from no sound. Hopefully the sound is working again. That means that I've been sitting and talking to myself for 20 minutes. Sound is back. Oh, good. Nice. Thanks for letting me know. Thanks for saving me from sitting and talking even more to myself. As mentioned, the stream has been live for 20 minutes, so I see that there have been some viewers, but of course that sucks. But yeah, sound is back. So I've just been talking about my picks on my Game Week 12 wildcard team, and this is the team that I will most probably go with. I like this team at the moment with a really strong midfield, decent forwards as well. No Haaland, no Saka, so hopefully they will not explode in the next couple of game weeks. My plan is to get Saka in my team for game week 14 or 15. I really like Mbumo and Bruno for the next two fixtures, so hopefully they can do well in game week 12 and 13. I will sell, especially Mbumo will probably be gone in game week 14, and I will try to get Saka into my team by then, either by downgrading Bruno Fernandes or Isak. So Isak to 6.5 forward, or Bruno to do something similar just in midfield. So that will give me Saka in my team. I think that he will play in game week 12, but he's not 100% fit. So hopefully he will be rested. As mentioned, I think that he will start, but hopefully he can get an early sub, or at least have reduced minutes for the next couple of game weeks. So no Saka, no Haaland, but I have Havertz to cover the Arsenal attack, and I have Joao Pedro. I really like him at the moment. Decent value, 5.5. Should start games for Brighton going forward and on penalties. Same goes for Isak, nailed on, playing up front for Newcastle and on penalties. And every player in this midfield is also nailed on for their teams and on penalties. So I'm really praying for those teams to do well in the next game weeks. Some budget options in defense: Masraoui from Man United and Hall. They will probably start in game week 12 together with Gabriel. Have opted for Sanchez in goal. I've seen a lot of wildcards with Verbruggen and even Pope from Newcastle, but I think that Pope at 5 million is too expensive if you want to cover the Newcastle defense when you have Hall available at 4.4 with attacking threat as well. So Pope is not an option for me. And Verbruggen, if I really wanted a Brighton defender, I would probably go for someone like Dunk. He is one of the defenders with the highest expected goals from set pieces, so Dunk is my preferred option from the Brighton defense if I wanted to go there. So Colville could be another option from the Chelsea defense, similarly priced, but he's not that big of a threat when it comes to set pieces. And Reece James could be interesting, but he is injured again. So I want to have at least a double up with Chelsea players, considering their pictures going forward. So Sanchez and Cole Palmer are my preferred Chelsea assets at the moment. Both Palmer and Mbeumo are rumored to be back in training and fit for game week 12, so I'm not really concerned about them still being yellow flagged in FPL. The same goes for Kirkis on my bench. He will not play this game week anyway, but I like Bournemouth fixtures going forward, and I also like Kirkis as a player. He's bombing down that left-hand side, so hopefully he can get both attacking returns and clean sheets going forward. Buonanotte, 5 million. He is suspended, 5 yellow cards, so he will be ready when he's needed. I will not need him for game week 12, but I really like Buonanotte as a pick. He's a differential, only selected by 2% of the managers. So with this team, I could have Rodgers instead of Buonanotte, but he will be benched most weeks, so I don't really see the point in having Rodgers when I will barely play him going forward. So I saved the 0.4 million, which will make it easier for me in game week 14-15. As mentioned, I will bring Saka back into the team, so having Buonanotte over Rodgers makes that switch easier when it comes to moving Mbeumo to Saka. My captain for game week 12 will most probably be Mo Salah. I considered Palmer as well, but after taking a look at the defensive statistics, Southampton, they are really bad and the worst team in the league when it comes to expected goals conceded. They've actually only conceded 6 goals in their last 4 games, but they have an expected goals conceded of 9, so they've been a bit lucky when it comes to just conceding those 6 goals. So when they play against Liverpool in game week 12, I think that Southampton will struggle. So for me, Salah is the obvious captain pick. I've seen, especially the last couple of days on the FPL community over at X, that a lot of managers are actually going for Palmer and some for Haaland as well. So it will be interesting to see the ownership of those players. Both Haaland and Salah will probably go above 100% ownership, so Palmer will probably be close to 100 as well, playing against Leicester, decent fixture, so hopefully I can share for Palmer goals without being worried about him being above 100% owned in game week 12. Still think that Haaland will do well going forward. the fixture difficulty is not that bad. His fixture in game week 12, Man City plays against Spurs. I know that it's a red fixture in FPL, but I think that there will be goals in that game, and Haaland will probably at least get one goal. But at the price, 15 million plus, I think that there are possible to spread those funds and get a better team. So this season, of course, I've been kind of unlucky with the Salah and Haaland switch. Started with Salah and went for Haaland in game week 6, and then back to Salah this game week. So hopefully the story will not repeat itself. That team looks really good. I think Isak could hold this week. Yeah. I actually had another wildcard draft in the first days after last game week with a powerful midfield with Saka in it. It was a 3-5-2 with Joao Pedro and Cunha up top, so no Isaac, no Havertz. But I think that downgrading Saka and having Havertz to cover the Arsenal attack instead, this lets me have Isak in my team and still have Bruno Fernandes and Mbeumo, so hopefully it will pay off in the next couple of game weeks. But as mentioned, my plan is to downgrade Mbeumo, upgrade Mbeumo, and bring in Saka from game week 14 or game week 15. Haaland will do well, but a green or red arrow is all that matters each week. Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. And like, there are really, there are so many good options at the moment, and you just have to like admit that we can't really have them all. So of course, going without Haaland with his ownership is risky, but hopefully those other players can do well and outscore him. With this team, with Isaac in it, Salah and Palmer as well, the next game weeks are like there will be no problems with the captaincy. So I'm not sure that if I still had Haaland, if I would captain him in Man City's more tricky fixtures going forward. So I actually believe that having Haaland at 15 million plus is not a really good idea when you're not going to captain him. So hopefully Isaac can do the same job just for 8.5 million. I don't think that Haaland is worth 7 million more than let's say Bruno Fernandes or Isak. So for me it's easy to go without. I wanted Isak this week, but he would need a hit, so I'm keeping Solanke, the goal machine. At least he was a goal machine for 1 week, right? I actually got him in my team last game week 11, when Spurs had a really good fixture at home against Ipswich. So I took a punt by selling Watkins and getting Solanke, but he blanked, and it was especially frustrating seeing that he got a goal ruled out as well. But I know I had some on my timeline over at X that actually went for Solanke captaincy, and that was tough luck. To be fair, Solanke was a decent punt. The last game week for game week 11, he was actually second when it comes to the bookies' prediction for anytime goal scorer. Haaland was 50 something, and Solanke was really close, just a couple of percent behind him. I think Haaland was 54 and Solanke 52 or something like that. This week is Haaland 58, Salah 51, and both Palmer and Isak are 46%. And this was the bookies' predictions for anytime goal scorers for game week 12. When it comes to clean sheets, Arsenal, they are top this game week 54 with Liverpool 48 and Newcastle 41. So that's the reason why I'm playing Lewis Hall over Ait Nouri this game week. Close call though. Ait Nouri could do well, so it will kind of hurt if Ait Nouri is on my bench with a clean sheet and assist, but I'm trusting the bookies that they got this right, and they also have the home advantage playing against West Ham, so it makes sense to play Hall this week if you have him. It'll be a really interesting game at Newcastle against West Ham, having both Hall and Isaac in my team, but it's been like this a couple of times this season that I've had a couple of differentials in a game, like the Newcastle against West Ham game. I remember having both Watkins and Rodgers playing at home against Man United. I was really excited for that game, but both blanked. So it's been a couple of frustrating games of FPL so far this season, but hopefully it will turn and my players starts delivering. The rank at the moment is 2.6 million, so not really where I want to be when it comes to my overall rank, but hopefully this wildcard team will help me to boost the rank a bit. So there are a couple of players that I think are really good assets that I just couldn't fit into this team, like Rodgers. I mentioned and talked about him. I still think that he's decent, but I kind of want to save the 0.4 and go for Buonanotte because he will mostly be on my bench, and I also like Semenyo, but it's like I want those midfielders in this team more because they are on penalties. So Salah, Palmer, Bruno Fernandes, and Brumo, really good option, especially for the next 2 game weeks. Brentford, Man United have good fixtures in game week 12 and 13, but their fixtures are getting more tricky from game week 14. So as mentioned, my plan is to upgrade Mbeumo to Saka around game week 14 or 15. A lot of injury updates yesterday and today. We know that Calafiori is back. He is confirmed to be fit for Arsenal. Same goes for Timber. He will probably start for Arsenal at right back, seeing White is out for 2 months. I still think that it's worth spending the extra cash and having Gabriel if you want Arsenal defense. And I do believe that having Arsenal defense is a good idea. So if you're on a wildcard or if you want to transfer out someone like Trent, who is rumored to miss game week 12, I think that Arsenal defense and especially Gabriel is a really, really good transfer in. It's like Arsenal, they have been kind of unlucky for the last four game weeks when it comes to their defense. And last season they were the best defensive side, and in game week 1 to 4 they showed signs of that. But I think that with the fixture swing for Arsenal this game week, that they will start delivering clean sheets again. So having one Arsenal defender is a must for me, and Gabriel is the best option. Top three transfers out. Trent is the most transfer out player ahead of game week 12, with Haaland second, and actually FOMO's goal machine Solanke is also one of the most transferred out players. When it comes to transfers in, it's Salah, Bruno, and Isak. So I think that a lot are making the switch from Solanke to Isak, and a lot are selling Haaland to afford the upgrade to Mo Salah. And this was the trend in game week ahead of game week 11 as well. So it just continues to we see that pattern of people moving away from Haaland and getting Salah. It makes sense with the Man City fixtures coming up, tougher fixtures for them for the next 6 game weeks. I know that the game against Spurs is red in FPL when it comes to fixture difficulty, but I still think that playing against Spurs is a decent fixture for Man City, and especially Haaland when it comes to goals. Not particularly when it comes to a Man City clean sheet, but I think that there will be goals in that game. So which other moves have you made, FOMO, ahead of the game week 12 deadline? No one on YouTube is considering Watkins. He's not even getting a mention. Yeah, it's kind of strange, I agree, because Aston Villa actually have decent fixtures going forward, but at the moment, I think that with Isak being available, I think that he is like a better option at the moment, seeing that he is nailed on and on penalties, and Watkins, that's actually some threat from Duran when it comes to starting games for Aston Villa, especially seeing that they are playing in Europe and will have a lot of games for the next couple of months. So I think that this is the reason why Watkins are being maybe a bit overlooked, but I still think that he is a decent shot actually, but prefer Isak at the moment. And in my opinion, Joao Pedro is really, really good value, 5.5. He should start games for Brighton going forward. only played 25 minutes in game week 11, but he got goal, assists, and full bonus points. So we also know that he is probably on penalties for Brighton. So at 5.5, I think it's probably too good to turn down that offer. So Joe Pedro is nailed on in my game week 12 squad. I actually plan to get Joe Pedro back in game week 3-4 when I decided to play a game week 12 wildcard. So I just have to stick with the plan and stick with Joao Pedro. Havertz, he is maybe the player that I'm not so sure about. I still think that Saka is the best attacking option from Arsenal, but having Saka will not let me have Isak. So for me, Saka will wait, and I will upgrade Mbeumo to Saka in game week 14 or 15. Hi, I'm planning to sell Haaland for Salah and Jackson. Is it safe? Any recommendations? Yeah, I'd say that's safe. Of course, we know that Haaland will play in game week 12. He will probably do well against Spurs, but if you think that Salah will be a better asset and get more points than Haaland going forward, then I think you should just go through with the transfers. I just mentioned that top 3 transfers out, Haaland is one of the most transferred out players, and people are selling him to fund the Salah move. So getting in Jackson as well is probably really good idea. Keep in mind that Jackson is on 4 yellow cards. I have Watkins. I'm worried about his minutes and also his goals, but I'll stick with him for the good fixtures. Yeah, I'm not seeing any reason to sell Watkins at the moment if you have him. So definitely keep Watkins, but I think that the reason why people are not transferring him in is because, as mentioned, we have Isak available with decent fixtures as well. He is more nailed on and have higher expected minutes. He is on penalties, a little bit cheaper as well. So I've actually not considered getting Watkins over Isak on my wildcard. So Isak is nailed on, and as mentioned by Wenger DSN, Jackson is also an option. So yeah, that's the reason why people are not talking about Watkins. I believe that's the reason why people are not talking that much about Watkins, that we actually have a couple of better options at the moment. As actually like Jackson, was close to get him on my wildcard. I just don't like the fact that he is on 4 yellow cards, and I think that Palmer is the best option. He's expensive, of course, 10.9, but he is nailed on for Chelsea, and they have so many options in attack. So I think that during the next couple of months we will see some rotation in the Chelsea lineup. So I think that players like Neto and Madueke and players like that will miss some games. So Palmer is probably the safest and best asset to own from Chelsea. Jackson as well, I think that he is nailed on, but he will probably see limited minutes in the busy schedule during Christmas. And Maresca actually talked about playing Cole Palmer and Joao Felix at the same time. So this probably means that either will Cole Palmer move slightly more to the right and allow Felix to play as a 10, or it means that Felix will play as a false 9, something like that, and with Cole Palmer behind him to give Jackson a break. So they have so many options, as mentioned up front. So with the good fixtures, I want Chelsea players, and Cole Palmer is probably the best asset to own at the moment. So Wenga, this and any recommendations? So for me, selling Haaland to fund an upgrade in midfield and bring in Salah, it makes sense when we take a look at the fixture lists. Man City have some tough games coming up, and Salah is also cheaper, and it lets us upgrade other parts of our team. So I mentioned earlier in the stream that I think that Haaland probably will do well going forward, but I think that he is too expensive at 15.1 million when I'm not going to captain him. So having Salah, Palmer, Isak in my team right now gives me better captain options for the next game weeks. So the players that I'm most worried about not having in my wildcard team, I must say that these are the players that I, of course, had in my first draft before making the changes and selling Saka. So obviously Saka, I really like him, but can't really fit him in at the moment. So Saka and Cunha as well. So my original wildcard team from last week, it had Saka in midfield and Cunha up top instead of Havertz, and no Isak. So Cunha and Saka, I will be watching them closely for the next couple of game weeks. But hopefully Isak and Havertz can outscore them. When it comes to comparing those two, Saka, Cunha, on the other hand, and Isak, Havertz, I think that Isak and Havertz are better options. So we know that Havertz, he will play up front for Arsenal. So with a bit of luck, this will be a successful transfer, only selected by 12% of the managers. So Cunha is gonna hold this week. Oh, please no. I was close to bring Cunha in game week 11. Actually, I talked about selling Watkins and taking a 1 week punt because I knew that I was going to play my wildcard this game week. So Watkins had a tough fixture in game week 11 against Liverpool, so I wanted to take a punt, and I ended up bringing in Solanke as mentioned, but I was really close to pick Cunha, so that would have been another story, of course, as he did really well in game week 11. But as mentioned, hopefully Isak will outscore him going forward. I like Cunha. He has like so many ways to get points because he can score, and he's also one of the most creative players. So he has high both expected goal and expected assist as well. When we take a look at players like Haaland, and of course high expected goals, but not that high expected assists. He probably won't, but I need points from somewhere as I have Solanke and Son this week. Yeah, but it's like Solanke and Son could actually turn out to be really, really good options for game week 12. When we consider Man City's defense for the last game weeks, they haven't been that solid, so maybe this is a game that will fit especially Son really, really well. Counter-attack against Man City. Man City will probably have a lot of possession, so if Spurs can take advantage with some good counterattacks, then this is like a game that fits Son really well. So hopefully for you, Son will do well in game week 12. I'm not completely ruling it out. Solanke is kind of strange asset this season. Started so well, got into good positions in the first couple of game weeks and did really well, looked really fresh, but then he got an injury, was out for a couple of game weeks, and when he came back he was like not involved at all. But Postecoglou made a couple of changes in game week 10, and especially in the second half in game week 10, he looked like the Solanke from last season for Bournemouth. 2 goals and 1 assist, wasn't it? The assist was maybe when he got a free kick and Madison scored. Yeah. But a lot of managers, including myself, took a punt on Solanke for game week 11, seeing that lovely home game against Ipswich, but he blanked and got a goal rule out. I can see a few goals, maybe 3-2 or 2-2. Yeah, definitely possible in that game. Both teams are better at attacking than defending at the moment, so they will probably go, especially Man City will probably go all out attack. One of the worst periods actually for Man City when it comes to results in the Premier League and Champions League as well. So they will probably try to turn that as soon as possible, and they have a couple of players back. They've had so many injuries, but most of the players are getting back. Of course, they will still miss Rodri, but De Bruyne is back in training, Duque is back as well, so they have more options going forward. Diaz, John Stones back in training as well. I think that City will start to look like Man City again for the next game weeks, even though their fixtures are getting tougher. So that's one of the reasons why I have not included any Man City players in my wildcard. I've had actually Guardiola since game week 1, and he has done well. One of the best performing defenders, Van Dijk as well, had him since game week 1. He's actually one of the most transferred in players this game week, Van Dijk. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, Van Dijk is the 4th most transferred in player this game week, 273 transfers in. The top scoring defender, so I think that a lot are selling Trent at the moment, and if they want to still cover the Liverpool defense, then I definitely think that Van Dijk is the better option. Konate is decent as well, but I would prefer the security of minutes and the added attacking threat from Van Dijk. In game week 14 or 15, I will try something like this, selling Mbeumo, maybe Bruno, to bring in Saka. This gives me 6.1 million. 6.1 for a midfielder, and let's see which options at the table. Of course, Smith Rowe is an option. 5.7. McNeil 5.7. If I can sort by price. Semenyo could be an option. Sell Bruno and maybe this is something I can go for in game week 15. Sell Bruno, Fernandes, and Mbumo to bring in Saka and Semenyo. Bournemouth still have decent fixtures from game week 15. Ipswich, West Ham, Man United away, Palace at home, Fulham, Everton. Still only 10% owned, so that's definitely something I will consider in game week 15, but I really like the next couple of fixtures for both Brentford and Man United. This could be, excuse me, this could be my wildcard team actually having Saka and Semenyo. Really good options, to be honest, but for game week 12 and 13, I really want Bruno Fernandes and Mbumo. I have one free transfer saved up before using the wildcards, so I will have 2 free transfers for game week 13. If I don't spend a transfer in game week 13, will have 3 free transfers game week 14 and 4 free transfers for game week 15. So hopefully I will not have to use any transfers, so I can sell Mbumo and Bruno in game week 15 to bring in Saka, and maybe Semenyo will be the player to bring in alongside Saka. Of course, I could go for this team on my wildcard and not pre-plan transfers. I don't really like pre-planning transfers when I use my wildcard, but the fixtures for Brentford and Man United are so good in the next couple of game weeks, and they have a fixture swing in game week 14 when both of them have really tough fixtures going forward. So as much as I like Bruno, especially at this part of the season, because he has historically been one of the most reliable players when it comes to expected minutes, but the fixtures are really tricky for Man United from game week 14 and onwards. So I really want Saka, and hopefully he will be fit by game week 15. Let's change that back. So this is my wildcard team at the moment. Bruno and Mbumo are in. 2,650 subscribers at the moment. That's wonderful, but I need to upgrade the graphics for each time. But I gladly do it if you want. Subscribe to the channel. It says 2,649 in the graphics, but at the moment it's adjusted 2,650. So thanks for subscribing if you're listening at the moment. Really appreciate it. So ahead of each game week, I usually do either a Q&A on Friday night before the deadline, or if I have the time on Saturdays, I do a deadline stream before a couple of hours before the deadline. But for this game week, I will not be able to have a deadline stream tomorrow, so hopefully I will be able to make it in game week 13. And for the next couple of months, there will be so many deadlines coming thick and fast with mid-week game weeks as well. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. Let me know if you have any questions, dilemmas, or 50-50 decisions ahead of the next deadline. I will be on for like 10-15 more minutes. This is how I'm lining up for game week 12 on my wildcard. I will probably start Hall. Newcastle, they are third when it comes to the bookies' prediction for clean sheets. So Newcastle against West Ham, hopefully this will be a good fixture for both Hall and Isak. Ait Nouri will then be benched. Ipswich, I would like to play Masraoui against Ipswich, so this means that Ait Nouri and Kirkis will be benched, and Buonanotte, he is suspended, serving a one-match ban because of 5 yellow cards, but he will be a decent bench cover going into the Christmas period. As mentioned earlier, I could have gone for Rodgers. I have actually 0.4 in the bank to make that upgrade from Buonanotte to Rodgers, but because of the fact that I will mostly just have him on my bench, I would like to save that 0.4, which will make it easier for me to upgrade Mbumo to Saka in game week 15. I'm not saying that Rodgers are like a bad pick. He'll probably do well in game week 12 with a decent fixture against Crystal Palace, but when it comes to Aston Villa assets, and I see Ding, Watkins, Rodgers, I think that they are decent, but we have to consider the fact that they have so many fixtures in the next couple of months. Of course, because of the busy schedule in the Premier League, but also due to their participation in the Champions League as well. And they're not really used to playing European games, and most of the players don't have that experience. So I think that there will be some rotation, and I think that Duram, Knudsen, the left back, I think that they will probably see more minutes going forward. Look over at X to see if there are some rumors or news. Not seeing much. People starting to lock in their teams. Couple of questions about transfers. We have one in the chat answering about selling Holland to bring in Mo Salah. I can see that he's not alone. Also, a couple of Holland captains. So this will be a week with huge swings when it comes to players. So Haaland being one of the most sold players, but also highly captained. Isaac is being tutored as a captain option as well. Decent shout, but for me it will probably be Mo Salah captaining my side in game week 12. And this is after taking a look at the defensive stats from the last 4 game weeks, where Southampton, they have only conceded 6 goals, but they have close to 10 expected goals conceded, so they have been kind of lucky to just concede 6 goals in the last 4 game weeks. So hopefully Liverpool will do well against them in game week 12, and Salah will be in the points. I can see a trend about not having any premium defenders. So I kind of get it, because this season there have been really few clean sheets, and many of the budget defenders have done really well. But for me, Gabriel is a lock in my wildcard this game week. I know that Arsenal haven't been that great for the last 4 game weeks, but I think that with the fixture swing starting this game week, I think that they will start performing and delivering clean sheets again. As mentioned, they were the best defensive side last season, and for game week 1 to 4 this season, before they have had a little bit rough period for the last 4 game weeks as mentioned, but I think that they will do well going forward, and Gabriel with his attacking threat is the player to target. I've seen a lot of talk about Timber, Calafiori, but for me, Gabriel is the player to get. So if you own Trent, and if you don't have any Arsenal defenders, I think that selling Trent this game week and bringing in Gabriel is a really good move. So this will probably be my final team unless we get any big news coming in tomorrow ahead of the deadline. I will post my team over at X, so head over there and follow me if you're not already. It's the same handle as on YouTube. It's FPLTFS. Unfortunately, I will not be able to have a deadline stream tomorrow, but I usually try to fit in a deadline stream as well on Saturdays. I either have a Q&A or a deadline stream. Sometimes, if I find the time, I do both, but at least I'll do one live stream ahead of every game week. So sometimes it's Friday nights and sometimes it's a couple of hours before deadline. So if you're interested, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. So for me, it's best to have deadline streams because there tends to be more people involved. But of course, some Saturdays are just too busy to fit in a stream. So good luck everyone for this week. I feel Swans need luck. The team is good. Thanks. Hopefully, the team is good enough to do well for the next couple of game weeks. I really I have high hopes for Mbumo and Bruno Fernandes. I will go with them for the next couple of game weeks, and I will change one of them to Saka in game week 14 or 15. So hopefully Saka will stay quiet. I need maybe a bit of luck when it comes to other players, other highly owned players not delivering, like Haaland against Spurs and Saka as well. So as I said, this team should do well, but hopefully, Pomo, you will be back on my next stream so we can discuss the results. I will follow Solanke this game week to both Som and Solanke, and if they do well, I will actually share for you. So good luck for game week 12. Hopefully, I'll see you next time.